Have you ever watched an interview so bad that it destroyed someone's entire image in just a few minutes? Well, that's exactly what happened with Meghan Markle. What was supposed to be her big comeback interview on Bloomberg turned into the most embarrassing meltdown of her career. And trust me, what she revealed in those 30 minutes was darker, stranger, and more shocking than anyone expected. From claiming she doesn't even have time to cook dinner, to bragging about selling 10 jars of jam, to admitting Netflix basically downgraded her deal, this interview exposed the real Meghan Markle like never before. And listen carefully, because the most disturbing detail didn't come at the start. It came at the end, when she talked about her past and accidentally revealed exactly who she really is inside. So stay tuned until the very last moment of this video, because once you hear the full breakdown, you'll never see Meghan Markle the same way again. Oh, and before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications, because we've got plenty more explosive breakdowns coming that you do not want to miss. Now, let's talk about how this all began. The interview was supposed to be a friendly chat with Bloomberg host Emily Chong. On paper, this was Meghan's chance to rebuild her image. She was going to talk about her new jam business, her life in California, and maybe give some relatable mom vibes. But instead of making her look good, it turned into a complete disaster. From the very beginning, Meghan's performance felt fake. When Emily asked her about people criticizing her for glorifying homemaking, Meghan acted shocked. She widened her eyes, tilted her head, and said in a sweet voice, "Oh really? I hadn't heard that." "Really, Meghan? You hadn't heard that?" Let's be real. Social media has been filled with criticism of her for months. Entire YouTube channels, news sites, Twitter threads, everybody has been saying the same thing about her lifestyle branding. And yet here she was, pretending like it was brand new information. And here's the kicker, if she really hadn't heard the criticism, how was she so ready with a full detailed answer? You can't have talking points prepared for something you never heard. It's almost like she was playing innocent for the cameras, putting on a little act to make herself look humble. But the audience wasn't buying it. In fact, the fake surprise was so obvious that the commentary online was brutal. People wrote things like, "Why does she always pretend she has no idea what's going on? She's acting like she lives on another planet." This became a pattern throughout the entire interview. Meghan would act clueless about a topic, then suddenly start giving long rehearsed answers. And that's when people realized, this wasn't an honest conversation. This was a carefully staged performance. But let me tell you, things only got worse from there. Because just a few minutes later, Meghan made a comment so unbelievable, so completely out of touch with reality, that it made headlines all around the world. And yes, this is where the dinner comment comes in. So picture this, you're living in a $14 million mansion in Montecito. You have nannies for your kids. You have house staff, employees, gardeners, assistants. You don't have a 9-to-5 job. You don't even have a part-time job. Your husband doesn't have a job either. And then you go on Bloomberg and tell the world, "I don't have time to make dinner every night." Wait. What? That's right. Meghan Markle, the woman who lives a life of luxury most people can't even dream of, says she doesn't have time to cook. And this is where the internet completely lost it. So, let's get into this unbelievable moment. Meghan Markle looked straight into the camera during her Bloomberg interview and admitted she doesn't have time to cook dinner every night. Now, let's pause here. This is a woman who lives in a $14 million Montecito mansion, has a team of staff around her, employs multiple nannies for her 2 children, is married to Prince Harry, a man who also doesn't have a regular job. And yet, somehow, dinner is too much work. The internet's reaction was immediate. People everywhere were saying, "What do you actually do all day?" Because let's be real, if Meghan can't manage a simple home-cooked meal with all that free time and all that help, then what exactly is she doing with her time? But it didn't stop there. Instead of leaving it at that, Meghan tried to make the moment sound quirky and relatable. She explained that while she doesn't cook, she is very good at ordering takeout, and then plating it beautifully. Let that sink in. She doesn't have time to actually make food, but she has plenty of time to arrange delivery food on plates, wipe the sides, and make it look pretty. The disconnect from reality was staggering. For everyday working parents, people who come home after 10-hour shifts and still cook for their kids, this was insulting. It felt like Meghan was showing off how busy she was, when in reality, her version of busy is decorating Uber Eats meals. One commentator nailed it perfectly: she has time to wipe down plates for aesthetics, but not enough time to boil pasta. Imagine sitting down for a meal with her, you'd be starving while she's busy rearranging the garnish. And it gets worse. She even admitted she does this for her children's meals, carefully cleaning the plate edges to make everything look more beautiful. Again, more energy spent on appearances than on substance. This was the first major turning point in the interview. Viewers realized Meghan wasn't even trying to be relatable. She was painting herself as a perfectionist homemaker, but without doing the actual homemaking part. She wanted the credit without the effort. And here's the thing, every time she does this, her credibility takes another hit. Because normal people know what real life looks like. They know the stress of rushing to make dinner after work. They know what it means to sacrifice time for family. So when Meghan talks about being too busy to cook while living in total luxury, it doesn't inspire sympathy, it inspires anger. And hey, if you're shaking your head right now thinking, wow, this is unbelievable, you're not alone. Thousands of viewers were saying the same thing. If you agree this was completely out of touch, drop a comment below with your thoughts. And while you're at it, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe, because trust me, what Meghan said next makes this look innocent. Yes, you heard me right. As bad as the dinner comment was, it was nothing compared to her so-called business story. Because after pretending she was too busy to cook, Meghan moved on to talking about her new product line, and that's when the interview spiraled into total chaos. She bragged about how her jam was selling out so fast that it became a problem. She claimed they 10x'd their inventory overnight, going from 10 jars to 100. And she acted like this was some massive success story. But think about it, going from 10 jars to 100 isn't scaling. That's not even a real business, that's a hobby at best. And yet Meghan presented it like she was running the next global empire. And then came the million-jar claim, the one that completely destroyed her story. Meghan said they had to suddenly prepare to manufacture 1 million jars. But the numbers weren't even the most embarrassing part. The truth is, Meghan wasn't even using her own recipe. She kept talking in the interview about how complicated it was to scale a homemade recipe into a mass-produced product. She even joked, "I'm going to get nerdy and jammy with you," trying to sound like an expert. But later, it was revealed that the jam was actually being manufactured by the Republic of Tea Company, a professional business that already knows how to make jam. Meghan didn't invent anything. She didn't solve any complex problems. She simply slapped her label on jars made by someone else. So when she talked about preserving authentic flavor and grandmother's recipe, it was just another performance. Another story. Another layer of fakery. And once again, the internet noticed. One commentator put it perfectly: "I don't expect Meghan to know how to jar jam. That's why you hire companies. But don't pretend you invented it. Don't act like you're a pioneer." This was becoming a theme. Whether it was cooking, homemaking, or running a business, Meghan wanted the credit without the effort. She wanted the status without the substance. But then came the darkest part of the interview, the story that revealed who she truly is inside. When Meghan was asked about pricing her products, instead of discussing strategy or research, she told a story about her childhood. She described working after school, saving up money, and her father helping her. Sounds relatable, right? A hard-working teenager, saving money? But then came the twist. She revealed that her goal wasn't to help her family or save for college. No. The thing she worked for, the thing she obsessed over, was buying a shirt with the logo BB. And if she was really lucky, one with rhinestones on it. That was her dream. That was her proud memory. Not the lessons of hard work. Not her father's support. Not helping her family. But owning a status symbol shirt that would make her look rich and important. And this, more than anything, exposed Meghan's true mindset. Even as a teenager, she wasn't driven by family, education, or values. She was driven by appearances. By the desire to look wealthier than she was. The commentary online was brutal. She remembers the rhinestone shirt more than the sacrifices her father made. That tells you everything you need to know about her. And decades later, nothing has changed. She's still obsessed with image. Still chasing symbols of wealth. Still putting appearances above reality. And let me ask you, what do you think this childhood story really reveals about Meghan? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'm curious to see if you agree with what most people are saying. And while you're there, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Because the most unbelievable part of this interview is still coming. Yes, what Meghan said about empty jam jars and Netflix will blow your mind. So far, we've seen Meghan embarrass herself over cooking, fake a jam business, and reveal her obsession with status symbols. But just when you thought it couldn't get worse, she made one of the strangest claims of all. She told people to treat her empty jam jars like keepsakes, as if they were sacred treasures. And right after that came the Netflix bombshell. After Meghan's bizarre childhood story, the interview shifted into even stranger territory. That's when Meghan proudly announced that her jam jars weren't just for eating. No, she insisted they were collectibles. She told people to actually keep the empty jars after finishing the jam, because they were keepsakes. Think about that for a second. An empty glass jar. Nothing inside. Worthless. And she wanted people to hold on to it like it was a family heirloom. One fan online summed it up perfectly. Imagine paying luxury prices for jam, then being told to treat the trash jar like art. It's insulting. But this wasn't just an awkward comment, it was a window into Meghan's mindset. She wanted her name, her label, her image to be so valuable that even garbage associated with her would be worth keeping. She wanted people to worship her, to treasure her leftovers. And yet, the audience didn't see a queen. They saw someone desperately clinging to relevance. Someone so out of touch that she didn't realize how ridiculous she sounded. But the real collapse came when the topic shifted to Netflix. Meghan had once bragged about her huge Netflix deal, worth tens of millions of dollars. She wanted the world to see her as a powerful Hollywood player, producing documentaries and series that would rival the biggest names in entertainment. But during this interview, the truth slipped out. The deal wasn't thriving. It wasn't growing. It was collapsing. Her project had been quietly downgraded. She wasn't being trusted with new shows. She wasn't being offered new opportunities. Instead, Netflix was cutting back, signaling they no longer saw her as profitable. This was devastating, because Meghan and Harry had built their entire brand around those Hollywood deals. Without Netflix, they didn't just lose money, they lost credibility. They lost status. And what made it worse was Meghan's response. Instead of owning up to the struggles, instead of admitting mistakes, she went back to her favorite card, the victim narrative. In the same interview, Meghan once again painted herself as misunderstood, mistreated, and underappreciated. She hinted at being held back, at being underestimated, at people not supporting her vision. But at this point, the audience wasn't buying it. People remembered the cooking lies, the jam delusion, the fake recipes, the obsession with image, the empty jar nonsense. They saw a pattern. A person who wanted success without work. Respect without results. Power without responsibility. And the victim act, the crying, the complaining, the blame shifting, was just another layer of performance. Another mask. Only now, that mask was slipping. By the end of the interview, Meghan had revealed more than she intended. She didn't look like a businesswoman. She didn't look like a leader. She didn't look like a visionary. She looked lost. The failed jam business. The embarrassing empty jars. The status-obsessed childhood memory. The downgraded Netflix deal. The endless victim routine. It all added up to one undeniable conclusion: Meghan's empire wasn't thriving. It was crumbling. The mask of perfection had cracked, and for the first time, the world was seeing who she really is. And honestly, the most shocking thing about all of this is that Meghan doesn't seem to realize how much damage she's done to her own brand. But what do you think? Do you believe Meghan can ever recover from this level of exposure, or is her reputation beyond saving? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you've stayed with me until now, you're exactly the kind of viewer we love here. So do me a quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Because the story doesn't end here. We've got even bigger revelations about Meghan and Harry coming up in the next video, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. So there you have it. From fake cooking stories to million-jar fantasies, from childhood rhinestone shirts to empty jam jars, and finally, to the collapse of her Netflix empire, Meghan Markle's latest interview wasn't a triumph. It was a total disaster. And the whole world saw it.